Brr. This looks like a good time to stay inside and make a video on the basics for beginners of delivering calves and birthing cows in a northern climate. Firstly, you want to time it so that your calves are born before the green grass shows up and triggers your cow's milk production into maximum. Newborn calves don't need that much milk. The poor cow's udder will be bursting, and the calf will only be able to consume about a quarter, maybe a third of what she produces. The heifers, first calved heifers, produce a little bit less, so I calve my heifers a little bit later than the cows, but mostly a cow can produce more than enough milk for a newborn calf on hay, and so you want to have your calves just after the last frost and 2 or 3 weeks before the green grass comes on, and that way the calves' need for milk will start to ramp up just about the same time the green grass shows up, and they can both increase at the same time, and that will work best. Having said that, for sure there are exceptions to every single rule. And for instance, if you have twins like Tina did here, she couldn't have had enough milk if she tried. We ended up separating Tina, and I subsidized her with a grain ration twice a day to try to help her put out enough milk to raise these calves, and she managed it, but they weren't great big healthy strapping calves by any means. And so it might seem like double bang for your buck, but one cow, one calf is by far a better option to go with, unless you've got a dairy cow or something like that, a nurse cow, and often they put 3 orphan calves on one dairy cow. But I'm talking about beef cattle here, and kind of ideal situation. Tina's a good cow. She's always managed to produce a really nice calf, a good healthy strapping calf, and she makes plenty of milk, but she doesn't make twice as much milk as she needs. And so if you have a beef cow that happens to have twins, I highly recommend subsidizing their diet with some grain or something like that to help them along. And when the twins are first born, there's another thing: cows can't count, so you'll need to keep them in a fairly tight pasture until the calves know how to keep up with their mother and don't get left behind. Oh my, and look at us, we're way off track here. So where are we? Springtime. You've got through springtime and everybody's on the ground nursing happily, and with any luck your heifers didn't have any trouble. But at least, I calve mine a little bit later, so because they're most likely to be the ones, if you're going to have trouble, it'll be heifers. And so I calve them a little bit later so that they're closer to the green grass, and then I don't have heifers calving on the ice or something silly, because they are a little bit silly. They're first timers, they don't know what they're doing. So there you are, you got everybody on the ground, and the next question that's going to come up is 28 days after your first cow had her calf, she's going to be coming into heat. And bigger breeds maybe a little bit longer, smaller breeds a little bit less, but roughly 28 days. So now you got to get that bull out of there, because you don't want your cows bred, not quite yet. So on our big farm, our bull, we put him across the tracks, so there's a train track right away and 2 fences in between him and the herd, and he won't stay there by himself. The next day the fence will be broken and he'll be back breeding your cows for early calving. So you got to give him some company. I assess my herd. I find 1 or 2 of cows that are late calvers, haven't had their calf yet, and I put them over there to keep him company. And so he stays calm, and he'll stay with them until it's time to go back with the herd. And for me, that's the 12th or 13th of June. And isn't that a beautiful picture? And by this time, the calves are all big. The cows are recovered from calving and ready for the bull. So in he goes. There you go. There's how the cow looks like when she's bred. See her arched up back and tail sticking out? She'll look like that for about an hour after she's been bred. Not to be confused with this one. She hasn't just been bred, she's having a contraction. And very soon her water's going to break, and we'll see little feet poking out. Same with this one. She's having a contraction as well. There isn't always a bubble, but often there is. It'll come out when they lay down, and then they stand up and it'll go back in. And there you have it. See there, the water's broke, and you see that little yellow bit up above, just below the rectum. That's the tip of a front foot, and you'll know they're front feet because when you've got front feet, the soles or the bottoms of the hoofs are kind of pointing down towards the ground. If you've got back feet, the bottoms of the little hooves, the soles of the hoofs will be pointing up towards the sky, and now you've got bigger problems to deal with. So 4 to 6 hours ago, you noticed the cow, her back started to arch a little bit, and she was kind of looking to get away from the rest of the herd for a secluded spot. But you've watched from a very far distance away, and not to get her anxious. And she's found a nice little spot away from the rest of the herd, and with your binoculars, you've noticed, and the first thing you want to check, you've got front feet. The bottoms of the feet are pointing towards the ground on a standing cow. That's great. And she may get up and the feet will go back in and come back out a few times. And same thing with that water bubble. Could come in and out a few times. And not to worry, that's nature happening. Things are trying to stretch out. It's a slow process. It can take 6 hours. Like, don't just start pulling on the feet. That's a big mistake. The cow's still lively and she's breathing and trying regularly. Nature's happening. The next thing you're going to see is a nose and a tongue like this. That's textbook, how it's supposed to look. The calf is fine. And then once you get past the front shoulders, the rest of it comes out really quite quickly, and she might stay laying there with the back legs of the calf still inside. At this point, the umbilical cord is still attached, and the calf does not need to breathe yet because the blood's being oxygenated by the mother. Just relax. When she stands up, that's the pull start, and the umbilical cord breaks, and the calf is stimulated, and then you'll see things start to happen. Best to stay as far away as you can. If the calf's moving and the cows stands up, get out of the way so that they can do their bonding, and you'll cause troubles for yourself if you stay too involved. And keep your mouth shut. Don't talk to the cow. She doesn't understand English or any other language for that matter. And in half an hour or so, she'll hum away there, and then up gets the calf, and it'll find its way to the teat. If you see an ear twitching and an eye blinking, that's all you need to know. You can come back later and see the rest. She's looking for that quiet place because that's what it should be, quiet. Don't talk to the cow. Once your cow licks her calf, it's generally accepted that she's accepted the calf, then it's hers. So the next thing is the afterbirth. Let it come out on its own. Do not pull it out. The weight of itself will be enough pull. She's going to eat up that afterbirth. She needs a clean place for it to land, not in a manure-y barnyard. Make sure they have nice, clean, quiet place for themselves to do what they need to do. And you sit on your hands and wait. If you see front feet, and a little later, then a tongue, then step back, and then you'll see the calf lay there. You see an eye blink and an ear twitch, then your job's done. Get out of there and let them do what they need to do. Most of the time, that's how it works. And most of the time, your services won't be required and you'll be intruding. But you need to be vigilant because every now and then it doesn't work that way. And I've left the every now and then part until the last bit of this video because it's rare. Most of the time, nature's got it, and you don't need to be there, and it's better if you're not, quite frankly. Pay particular attention to your first time calving heifers. If there's going to be a difficulty, that's normally where it would be, and what you'll see is she may, try, and then you'll see her contractions. She doesn't, the contraction happens, but she doesn't push, she doesn't try, and then that'd be your cue to get in there and give her a hand. Assist that birth is the terminology. And you'll need some strings to tie around the front feet of the calf, and find them if they're in there, and don't tie it on the first joint. tie it above the first joint or you'll damage the little fellow's ankles. Most of the time there'll already be feet just right there, but not. There might be just a little ways inside there, and in the process you can check that you've got a tongue and a nose there. And if you don't have a calf's head there and the head's turned backwards, that's another video, but normally that's where it'll be, and you can attach the strings to just above the joint. Now, this is not a tug-of-war. You are timing it with the cow. When she has a contraction and hopefully she's still pushing a little bit, then you pull, and when she's resting, your job is to just hold the calf from going back inside the cow and holding her progress. And the next time the contraction comes, pull a little bit more, and you gently help her get things stretched out until you get the front shoulders out. That's the big part. After you get past the front shoulders, the rest is going to pretty well fall out of there. Now, when you get to that part, you want to pull the calf downwards towards the udder in like a C shape, and you get the hind legs. You can leave them inside there, and then that way the umbilical cord is still attached, and it may or may not be still oxygenating the calf, so you have to use haste and make sure his airways are clear and give his nose a little swipe. Normally, the process of the hooves coming first and being forced out, it'll break through that little birth sac, but if it doesn't, let me tell you, that's tough. It's like some of that modern packaging where you just can't get through it and you need to have a knife or something to cut it, and there's actually a tool, a little sharp hook for tearing it. You're not going to pull through that with your fingers, so be prepared for that. Like rarely it happens that the birth sac is over the nose, but you need to pay attention to that, and if it is, you have something sharp so you can make your way through that and get an opening for the little nose. Then when he's on the ground, you stroke his nose a little bit, clear the passages, open his mouth, and you will hear his first gasp for air, and then out you go. Get out of there. And there you go. Those are the basics. I'm not a professional veterinarian, and I'm not an expert either, but those are my experiences, and now you've had a look, and that's what you can expect to see, and some little pointers I hope help you along the way. And so, wherever you are, have a happy day, and we'll see you next time.